What's up, tankers? Space Bandit here with another episode of World of Tanks, and today we're gonna focus on T95E2 Tier 8 Preferential American Medium Tank. Now, why are we talking about this tank? Simple. This tank went on sale today, 30% off, so it currently costs 5,250 gold in order to buy it. Now, there are other tanks that also went on sale today, such as TL1 LPC, M48A2 Patton, and T42. These are all the tanks that are within similar price range, and playstyle will be similar, to be honest, because all of these tanks have pretty decent gun depression, decent armor, and so-so mobility, so-so accuracy, so on and so forth. But what separates T95E2 from the other tanks is the fact that it's a preferential matchmaking tank. That means you will not see tier 10s in this tank. Now, in the good old days, this tank used to come without hydraulic suspension, and it was absolute beauty. I used to love this tank. It was one of my favorite credit grinders back in the day. But since they put hydraulic suspension on this thing, it actually became a lot more unreliable than what it used to. So I actually left this thing for the longest time. I haven't played it in years, to be honest. Until recently, I hopped back into it and tried to see if it's workable nowadays. And I gotta say, I was pleasantly surprised. It is workable. It's not what it used to be, but it's still a very good tank. And I think for the price and the fact that it's preferential, I still think it's a good tank to have in your garage. So today we're gonna show you a couple battles in T95E2, and we're also gonna look at my commander build as well as tank build so that you can see how I have this tank set up. And we're also gonna have a few words about this tank and talk about what it's good at and what it's not, so on and so forth. So just looking at the stats, you can see penetration is 192 millimeters on standard rounds and 258 millimeters on premium rounds. Penetration is not the greatest. However, if you use the premium rounds, you can make this tank workable, especially versus tier 9s. If you're facing heavy armor such as E75, for instance, or T95, definitely this tank is going to struggle a little bit, but it's workable. Now, the standard rounds, I believe, are AP, but 192 millimeters of penetration, not very reliable, even at tier 8. So you're going to have to resort to the premium rounds, which are heat rounds. Again, I would prefer if they were APCR, but they're heat. Having said that though, those heat rounds have pretty decent velocity. I really like using them. So don't be afraid to load them up in this tank and use them. Average damage per shot, it's 240 alpha, which is not the greatest. You'll see you're gonna roll low quite a lot in this tank, but still it's quite average for 90 millimeter gun. Now, max speed of this tank is 58 kilometers an hour, but you're gonna struggle getting up to that speed because it's a little bit sluggish off the line. So you'll see in my equipment, I do have powertrain built into that to give it a little bit more oomph. View range with my commander setup is 465 meters, and we'll go over my commander build just in a second. Still concealment 359. So I'm mostly optimizing this tank for gun performance because of that hydraulic suspension. It just messes things up a little bit. And if you have a chance to update mobility a little bit on this tank, I would strongly recommend it. Okay, let's take a look at my equipment now. We got advanced optics on it right now, gun stabilizer, and advanced powertrain. Now, if you could throw on traction system on this tank, and let's say get rid of the gun stabilizer, that might be another option. It would definitely help with mobility. However, I don't know what it's gonna do to the gun and accuracy. To be honest, I like it the way I have it set up right now, because it works. Now, for commander skills, I have Born Leader, Sixth Sense, Rapid Loading, Rapid Aim, Snapshot, Run and Gun, Steady Aim, Camouflage, and Track Mechanic. As you notice, they're pretty much optimizing the tank for gun accuracy and accuracy on the move. Again, because of that hydraulic suspension. Alright, let's jump into the games, and then we can cover the tank a little bit more within the game itself. Okay, in first game we're gonna be on map Lakeville, and it will be mostly tier 8 lineup with few tier 7s. So pretty good matchmaking, only one RD in play. And we could play this map two different ways. We can go to F1 and try to brawl it out in a canyon, or we can try to play the vision game along the 4 line, see if we can get early spots, maybe put some shots of damage into the opposition. Another play would be going into the town, but I don't usually like doing that because it's hard to get out of there later on. Although I think in this particular match we will end up going there eventually. Okay, so what's so good about this tank? Let's focus on the positives. I guess the main positive on this tank is the armor. It's a little bit deceiving, to be honest, especially if you're facing tier 7s or tier 8s. You're gonna see those tanks bouncing off of you more often than not. The turret armor is not super armored, but at 178 millimeters of frontal turret armor, you get a really decent armor. You think about tier 7 and some of the tier 8s. Obviously, tier 8 heavy tanks, when they load premium rounds, they will be able to go through your turret cheeks, but they have to aim there. And one biggest problem on this armor is that big cupola, right, which is easily hittable by pretty much anything. So that's your biggest weak spot. But the gun mantle, plus the actual armor and the way the turret is shaped, it is actually pretty good armor for this tier. Another thing you're gonna find that's quite good about this tank is a front upper plate. In many cases, opposition tries to auto aim and try to hit you with auto aim. They won't be able to pen you with auto aim. Even if they aim at the upper plate, it's gonna be difficult for them to pen it because of the way it is sloped. So it's quite surprising how much this tank can actually bounce. And later on in the game, we'll be facing some tier 7s 1v1 as well as Astron X, I think, and we will be able to bounce some shells. So not only that you have a relatively decent armor in this tank, only facing tier 9s max, this tank can also side scrape a bit. And you're gonna see that later on in this replay as well. So for the fact that you're not facing tier 10s, that you have really decent armor while facing tier 7s, 8s, and even tier 9s, although some of the big guns at tier 9 will go through you, so don't count on your armor. But in this matchup, like I'm now, tier 7, tier 8 matchup, the armor can really make a difference. Anyway, so we started off the 4 line right there. We tried to get some spots, we couldn't get anything, and now I'm just kind of fingers crossed. I'm trying to cross towards town and hoping I don't get spotted, but I do, and that's a big problem. If opposition knew how to shoot, I would be probably dead by now. But my mobility gets me out of trouble here. I actually managed to get out of a bad situation and get myself behind this ridgeline. So we're going to try to lose our 6th sense right here. And we're going to try to poke out and see if we can spot anything. Now, I don't know what spotted me. Something has better view range than I do, even though I have commander and vision range of 465 meters. So something must have either better camo or better view range than me. At this point, I wasn't sure what it was. Later, we'll find out it was T92, tier 8 American light tank, which has ridiculously good camo. So anyway, we see this IS. We're going to try to put some shells into him. Our thought process here was to help our heavy tank that is currently at C9, because it was top tier, 50 TP prototype, tier 8 Polish heavy tank. I thought he was going to survive for a little bit. He's got quite a bit of armor, but he pushed so far. And I have shots over here right now, so I don't really want to leave my friendlies without support here. So I keep on shooting these guys instead of going forward and supporting my 50 TP. Unfortunately, missing some shots over here. But we should be able to take this STG out, and we do. Unfortunately, the Falcon runs off. But at least we secure access to our base, and nothing is pushing us at the moment. So now we can go and try to help our 50 TP. So that's what we're gonna do. In the meantime, we're watching the valley, the corridor. Hopefully our greenies can withstand the enemy attack over there, and we are able to hopefully clean this area up, kill Artie. That was the idea here. Now if I'm facing tier 7s, I should be okay 1v1 over here. And as you notice there, I'll be facing T20 and Chiri, both tier 7s. I should be able to win this encounter with both of these tanks. The problem is our 50 TP is dead. He didn't survive long enough. So now we're kind of a little bit of a pickle because Chiri's an autoloader. If he catches me from behind, that's going to be trouble. So I don't want both tanks to ambush me at the same time. So that's why you see this hesitation here a little bit. I'm going to wait until they get separated. And then I'm going to make my move. So we waited there a little bit. They're not coming for me. I was wondering where they were. Now we're going to push in to this area here. We find Chiri. We're going to try to put a couple of shells into him. He puts one into us. But we should be able to take him out of the game here. And we do. Now the question is, where's the T20? Is he in front of me? Is he behind me? I wasn't sure which side he was on. So we're going to check this side. We cannot spot him here. So then we're going to turn around. And just when I turn around, I spot him. And he's coming to my behind. And that's a problem. Because the first shot is so important in 1v1 encounters. And he puts the first shell into us. Unfortunately, we bounce our shell because he was angling in such a way that we hit his track. But now we're going to angle a little bit here. And now we should be able to bounce these shells. But he's playing it smart. He's trying to go around me, hit my side. As you can see, mobility of this tank is not the greatest. Maybe it's good to put clutch braking on this tank as well. But we're going to try to keep our front towards him as best as we can. He bounces a shell over there. And now we should be able to take him out of the game. Can we? Yes, we can. See you at the party. Now we look at the map, and it looks like we already lost the base, which is a problem because these tanks that are in a corridor, they're going to be flanked. So we have to think about going back to base, unfortunately, instead of pushing forward. But just when I go around this corner, I spot Astronex, and I'm like, this is it. I'm dead. He can easily clip me out. But my luck, he decided not to go around me like T20. He decided just to duke it out, angle the tank, and just shoot. And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna side scrape off of the building here, and we're gonna keep putting shells into him. We juked him a couple of times. I think we bounced one shell too, and now he's gonna charge us. I don't understand this play, to be honest, but we'll take advantage of it. He should have charged us from the beginning, go around us and take us out of the game. It would be easy play for him. But because he didn't, he wasted all his shells. Now we're able to kill him. Reload on this tank, I didn't touch on that. It's pretty darn good too. We're talking about 6 seconds without combat rations engaged. So if you engage the combat rations, your reload will drop just below 6 seconds. I think it's 5.7 or something like that. Now we get pushed by this Falcon. So we're going to try to engage him best we can. Again, we're going to try to turn so that we show him our front plate, slope front plate, and strong turret armor. And again, in this situation, I was thinking I was dead. But again, my armor is going to bail me out here. So against tier 7s, definitely this armor is workable, guys. Can we take him out here? Yes, we can. Unfortunately, all of my tanks are dead. And at this point, I didn't know where the opposition is. So I was trying to turn here to go around the back line, the K line. But then all of a sudden, T94E2 shows up at G9. And I absolutely had no chance of survival here. But I made it close. I made it close. And with a little bit of luck, maybe we would have been able to carry this, but it wasn't meant to be. So, let's look at the end plates and see how we did. We ended up with 4.4k damage, which is quite nice, to be honest, for 240 average alpha and 90mm gun, but class 2? I don't know about that. Look at our result. It was pretty good. We got 4.4k damage and 1400 assisted damage with 5 kills, 1234 base XP in a loss, and we got a class 2. Very interesting. Unfortunately, the Ferdinand on the opposing team has cleaned up. He must have been at the choke point, and he put up a very nice result for this tank, 5900 damage. So that was the difference in the game. Okay, let's jump into the second replay now. And in this replay, we're a map Cliff. We have few tier 9s in this matchup, 1 RD per side, but majority tier 8s. So what we're going to do initially here, we're going to get ourselves in position F6, and we're going to try to hit any of these guys crossing through the D and E lines, trying to get into the encounter. So that's what we're going to do. I'm just hoping at this point that we're going to have some friendlies that come with us, because obviously we don't want to be making this play by ourselves. Now I could potentially push position F0, E0 early, but I really don't want to run into heavy fire from 1 and 2 line, especially since we're not top tier in this matchup. So I was a bit worried about tier 9s. So we're gonna make our way here instead. This is much safer play, and we're not gonna be targeted early in game. So that's the idea. The only problem is I was looking at the map right now, and I only have another medium tank coming with me, which is gonna be problematic. So look at the greenies sitting at one line. That's ridiculous. Unreal. Well, that's the meta today. There's nothing we can do about it, guys. All you can do is try to have the best impact that you can have in the game. Forget about your teammates sometimes, because in this situation, I thought this was a loss, looking at this. But now we have the light tank coming here. Hopefully he's going to take the top of the hill, which is important as well. And we should have these shots right here. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to put a shell into this comet. And yeah, we're going to use that rock in front of us to protect ourselves a little bit from that comet. But we're going to keep putting shells into him. So that's what we're going to do. Hopefully we can maintain our HP pool right here. But unfortunately not. He hits us. But we didn't lose a lot of HP. So we're good. Now we see this STRV. Some tier 9s over here. So we're going to try to put a shell into him. That shell does not come off. Let's see if we can do it one more time. This time we do pan him for 211. As I mentioned earlier, this tank low rolls a lot. So you're going to see damaging shots below 240 HP usually. Now this Conqueror is scary here. He hits us. So we're going to have to be mindful of him. And we're going to have to drop here. And this is where I'm becoming a little bit anxious, because I see there is a medium tank behind us. So we're going to have to turn around and take care of him first before we deal with this Conqueror. We don't want to fight the Conqueror, obviously. We want to be able to fight another tier 8, possibly. So this Guardian STG, we put a shell into him. Luckily, our friendly is paying attention to the situation as well. So we're going to be able to push him, both of us, at the same time, while creating advantage, numerical advantage here. This is amazing play by this STA player. Good stuff. Now, we see this TD in the back there, but I really don't want to fight him. That big gun is a problem, so we're going to turn around and try to deal with the Conqueror. We knew he was coming behind our back right here, but we can use our strong turret armor and that hill on our right-hand side in order to hide our hull. And you can see there, he bounced from our upper plate, but I know he's using a stock gun. It's not the actual gun of the Conqueror, but it still has pretty good penetration, and we were able to bounce that shot. We got ammo rack there, but we repaired quickly. Now we put a shell into his lower plate, and by movement towards him, we kind of juke him, and he bounces his second shell off of our top plate, and we kill him at the same time. So even though we were low in numbers here on this side, we actually took advantage, and we killed all of these red tanks that were here. And the reason why, because we worked as a team together. We were outgunning the opposition every time, and we were able to pick the reds one by one and take them out of the game. So now we're going to charge this Sioux 1:30 p.m. Again, we're going to have to be really cautious because of that big gun. First, I'm going to see if he's looking in this direction, but I think he's paying attention to our STA. So he's not even paying attention to me. We're going to put a shell into him right there. Hopefully we can take him out of the game. Can we? Yes, we can.
Sorry, no sequel for you.
Now Artie's looking at us, and I'm like, oh shit, that's not good. We're going to have to turn to the side and run off, and that's what I'm going to try to do. Try to juke him. Mobility on this tank, again, is not the greatest. Once you get up to speed, then you can cruise at 50-something kilometers per hour, but until that time, the terrain resistances are pretty brutal on this tank, unfortunately. We were a bit unlucky there by hitting Artie's gun, so we didn't get any damage, and that's going to be a common theme later on in the game. For whatever reason, I'll be hitting guns and other things and won't be able to pen my shots, which is weird. But we're going to try to push this game as much as we can. We're currently sitting at 5k combined damage, which is already a very good result for this tank, but we're going to see if we can actually get to 4k raw damage. That was my goal in here. So we're going to poke this ridgeline here. We're going to put a shell into this KV3. We're risking our HP right now because we're going for damage, so that's the idea here. We hit this T49, and we're going to keep doing the same thing. Now, at this time, I didn't know there was something unspotted there. The dragon hits us there as well. There's actually a TD sitting right in front of me that I couldn't spot, which is quite interesting, to be honest. And it's going to be a while until I actually spot it. See, I got hit for quite a lot of HP right there, and I still wasn't sure what this was. So we're gonna move forward here. And we're not gonna spot it until now. It's the Slayer. Man, the camo on that thing, jeez, crazy. I was so lucky he hit my track right there. He's probably shooting heat, which is good. I missed the shot. I don't know how. Kill shot, obviously. And it went wide. But luckily we survived here. And now we're gonna move up and try to take out the last TD on the opposing team. Now I was sitting at 3.6k damage. I was like, you know, I only need 2 shots in order to put it over 4k. Can I do it? And I should have been able to do it, but just got a little bit unlucky right here. Unfortunately, hit the G-Source gun and didn't draw any damage. And then, unfortunately, my friendlies take him down, so I wasn't able to put another shell into him. But nevertheless, quite a nice game in this tank. So let's take a look at the post-game stats and see how we did. We finished on top of the leaderboard this time around. Our friendly STA2 finished in 2nd spot. He helped me out a lot in this game, and without him we probably wouldn't be able to clean up the area that we were in. We finished with 3.6k damage, 2200 assisted, which brings the total to about almost 6k combined. Very nice result in this tank. So the only question here is, did we get an ace? And yes, we did. We got an ace for this game. This game was played before the last one I showed you. That's why it shows only 1 mark. I was actually playing this tank a little bit more, working my way back to 2 marks, which I eventually achieved. Now the question is, am I gonna 3 mark it? I don't know. I guess we'll wait and see. So we finished with 1891 base XP. We fired 24 shells. We had 17 penetrations and 8 critical hits, which is the reason why we couldn't get over 4k damage. Nevertheless, very good game. Do I recommend this tank? Yes, I do. It's not the best tank out there. I'm sure there are better ones. But if you compare any other premium tank at this tier, you'll find that this tank is probably one of the better ones when it comes to preferential matchmaking. So that's the only reason I would recommend it. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. That's it for now. Until next time, happy tanking, Space Bandit checking out.